الله وبركاته بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome everybody from around the world. My name is Bilal Abdul Kareem and this is the BAK Show. We're going to be discussing some things, brothers and sisters, and we also want to know what you think. We want your questions, your comments, your concerns, and we'll read it right here on our live broadcast. This is the 28th night of Ramadan. So we're still in the last 10 nights, brothers and sisters. Please try to do your best to make as much dua as you possibly can, particularly for our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Syria, in Afghanistan, and in other places. Don't forget them. They really, really need your help. As I mentioned, my name is Bilal Abdul Kareem, and this is our program. We really, really want to stress to the brothers and sisters to please stay engaged in terms of what's happening around the Muslim Ummah. The worst thing that I think that you could possibly do is just to say, well, look, it's all just fitna, it's all just complicated. I'm just going to disengage. I think that that's one of the worst things that you can do because you have people out there who genuinely need your help. And at the bare minimum, they genuinely need your du'as. And you're going to, as long as you are engaged in terms of what's happening, inshallah ta'ala, they will get it. All right. Everybody, we got some stuff that we need to discuss here. Sheikh Sadiq Guriani, who is the Grand Mufti of Libya, he made a statement that I think that everybody should take a look at so that we could at least discuss it. I'm going to play it here. Take a look at it, then we'll talk about it, and we'll see what your thoughts about it are. Here it is.
فالله يعني الذي ينتظره منكم آخر الأمر ترون هذه المآسي على مدى شهور طويلة. ماذا تنتظرون؟ ما الذي تنتظرونه يا جيوش المسلمين، يا جيوش العرب، يا طيارون، يا من تطيرون بالميغ وبغير؟ ماذا تنتظرون؟ هل تنتظرون أن يأتيكم الإذن من ملك الأردن ولا من رئيس مصر ولا من رئيس السعودية؟ أبدا والله. إذا لم تنتفضوا لكرامتكم، إذا لم تنتصروا لإخوانكم، إذا لم تنتصروا لدينكم فستهلكون، والله فستهلكون. تهلكون لأنكم تخليتم عن إخوانكم وتخليتم عن دينكم وتخليتم عن مروءتكم. حتى النصرة التي كانت يعني تدفع إليها الحمية لم توجد فيكم الآن. لو خرج 3 ولا 4 بطياريهم وضربوا وسقطوا في إسرائيل واستشهدوا والله لنالوا الفوز ونالوا الكرامة. كيف تسكتون عن هذا العار؟ والله هذا عار وهذا خزي وهذا ذل لا يمكن أن يرضى به المسلم ولا يمكن أن ترضوا به ولا يليق بكم ولا بتاريخ المسلمين. فعليكم النصرة. هذا تفريط.
I could imagine that at least I'm hoping it would be difficult to be the pilot of a fighter jet plane and to see right on the other side of your border, for example, in Egypt or Jordan, that you've got tens of thousands of your brothers who are being killed, slaughtered, starved, ridiculed, but you don't get the go-ahead to fight from your leader. Now, to Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's credit, today there was some news, and basically it says that the new Israeli ambassador to Egypt was disinvited from accreditation ceremony due to Gaza. Dang. Well, if that ain't a statement, I don't know what is. You're telling me that after all of this, everything that's happened, the best you can do is to disinvite somebody, the Israeli ambassador? That's another thing. What the heck is the Israeli ambassador still doing in your country? I mean, at the bare minimum, you couldn't even expel the ambassador? Oh, guys, the banner is low. The banner is big time low. I mean, we're not even at the bare minimum expelling the ambassadors. Which of these Muslim countries has expelled their ambassadors? Nobody. That's where we are. And now you can see what the Mufti is saying there. He's sitting there, he's saying that, look, it's time to break ranks. Is it time to break ranks? I don't know, man. It's certainly looking like it is, because these people, they will watch the Palestinians burn away, sink in the sand, and they will do nothing. Why? Just to protect their own seat. But they don't realize something, that as soon as they finish with them, they're coming for those Muslim leaders also. But they're just hoping that as long as they keep giving the U.S. what it wants, that they will protect them. Well, I wouldn't count on it. Look, and here's another thing. This is a very brief video, but this is what you have, brothers and sisters. This is what the IDF is doing out in the Palestinian territories. Just take a look.
שלום לכם אנשי ח'אן יונס, אוגדת הדרום. זהו, זה נגמר. צה"ל הגיע.
עוזרים לנווט קלים, חבר'ה,
צה"ל הגיע.
עוזרים הביתה.
אנחנו יצאנו ממצרים, קצת בשלח, אתם עכשיו יוצאים למצרים. כל טוב לכם.
Okay. Now, when you see images like these, what does that make you feel? This is ethnic cleansing. 100%. How could it be looked at as anything other than ethnic cleansing? That's all it actually is. And they're sitting there and they're telling you. So many of the leadership of the Israeli government has made it clear. We want to expel these people. We want to move them out. But the different powers around the world, they turn a blind eye. Did he really say that? What he meant by move them out was to move them out of the bedroom to the living room. It's ridiculous. Okay, let's go back to what this some of the statements of the Sheikh Sadiq Guriani. Is he right? In my opinion, he's absolutely right. It's just morally corrupt and anti-Islamic to watch a genocide take place on your border and you sit there and you do nothing. It's just morally corrupt. And how exactly are you going to explain that to your children years from now? It's like, Daddy, what were you doing when the genocide was taking place? You were in the Egyptian army. What were you doing? It's anti-Semitic for you to even ask that, my son. Is that what you're going to say to them? I digress. Anyway, just on to a couple of other things here. We've got 300 student visas were revoked in America. One of them was a Turkish student, Rumeysa Öztürk, who was arrested in the streets of Boston. She was at Tufts University. She was a PhD student. She was one of the 300 whose visas were revoked. Now, I'm going to say this. America is and has been at war with the Muslims for a long time. Brothers and sisters, stop going to America. Stop going there. I'm just telling to you straight, you've got a country here who is openly hostile to your Muslim brothers and sisters. Go someplace else to study. It's not like America's the only place that you could possibly learn, or you could possibly get a PhD or something along those lines. It's not the only place. Why do you consistently keep going back to the same people who are genociding your Muslim brothers and sisters? Now, somebody might say, okay, well, they've been doing that since 2023. Okay, but they've been doing it before. Afghanistan, hello. Iraq, hello. All of that's been going on for a long time. why do the Muslims continue to keep going back to America to study? There are other places to go. Look, I don't want to come up here and just like criticize as if I'm not sensitive to what this young lady is going through or what Mahmoud Khalil is going through. I understand it. I get it. I'm American. I understand that they would like to go to America, a place that was reputed to be a place of a bastion for dignity and human rights and so on and so forth. And yes, you are going to see some of that in America. But we're talking about now what is called al-wala, which is to have solidarity with the Muslims, wal-bara, and to have disavowalment from the people who are harming your brothers and sisters. We have to start taking some of these things seriously. Al-wala wal-bara. I mean, that's in place for a reason, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wow, it's serious business, brothers and sisters. We've got Tariq X out there, and he says, I think clickbaited me with the title. Well, I gave it my best shot. Before we continue, I wanted to help ask you brothers for something. Brothers and sisters, we are working on a project here. It is called Voices of Truth. Voices of Truth is a project where we are giving a voice to the people who lived for many, many years, decades, under the oppressive rule of Bashar al-Assad and his father. We need to document these stories. Why? Well, because there's already been a revolution. Bashar al-Assad is gone. Why are we still doing that? For one simple reason. Because those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. We are giving a voice to people who have family members who had disappeared. They themselves were put in prison, starved, and so on and so forth. Even me myself, and I've been a part of these territories since 2012. And even I didn't know until the country opened up the extent that the Assad regime was tormenting these people. You can take a look at our crowdfunding page. It's right there on your title. Right there on your screen. It's medina.com/voices of truth. Medina.com/voices of truth. We're giving a voice to the voiceless. We are doing 10-minute interviews with people from all walks of society and from all around the country. I am heading this project and I need your help. Please do contribute to us. We really, really appreciate it. Jazakum Allahu khaira. Now, let's see if we can get back to some of your statements. Okay, we've got Primetime Plumbing here. Assalamu alaikum Bilal, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we were able to donate to the Medina Project yesterday. May Allah accept your efforts. Do you recommend Hijrah to Syria at this moment? If not, where do you recommend? If you come to a place like Syria with the idea that you've arrived in Medina at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and all you've just got to do is exist and everything is going to be okay, I would say that Syria is not the place for you. But if you come to Syria with a developer's mentality, with the idea that we can develop Syrian society, that we can contribute towards a moving and growing project, then Syria is the place for you. But also keep in mind that the Israelis are 25 kilometers away from the capital of Damascus. And at some point, I firmly believe we're going to have to fight them. So you're going to have to put all of that in and factor that into your decision-making process. And if you're okay with that, ahlan wa sahlan. Okay, we got Tariq X who's back there. And he says, I personally think it's funny to consider those armies Muslim. Well, I think that they're made up of Muslims, just like we would say Egypt is a Muslim country. It is a Muslim country. It's not an Islamic country. The two are not one and the same. But predominantly the people in Egypt, 90% of the Egyptian population are Muslim. Therefore, it's a Muslim country, and the army is made up of Muslims. They're not doing the things that Muslims should be doing, but that does not automatically mean that it's not a Muslim army. So, yeah, I think that those nuances are important, and we should definitely keep them in mind. Oh, we got Camarad here. Uh-oh. He's saying, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You always look handsome. Uh-oh. No, here's a couple of action shots here. No. Jazakallah khair, man. I really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Okay. Brothers and sisters, this is the BAK show. I'm your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem. We want to hear your questions, your comments, your concerns. Right here is the place to bring it, so we can post your concerns right here on this show. Now, Renaissance Ties says, how are the Syrian government, which has a somewhat Islamic orientation, going to align with secular Kurdish SDF? Isn't a rupture between the two considered inevitable? Okay, first of all, there was an agreement that was signed between Matlub Abdi and Ahmed Shara, or Abu Muhammad Jolani, the head of the new government in Damascus, around 2.5 weeks ago, wherein they would begin the process of the Kurdish militia forces being absorbed into the new army that is controlled by Damascus. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. That agreement, okay, great, but let's see if it's going to be implemented. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not talking about the Kurdish people here in Syria. I'm talking about the Kurdish militia forces. You got to understand something. The siege of Aleppo, for example, and I'm not talking about that it's limited to this example, but for example, the siege of Aleppo, which saw the deaths of thousands of civilians, where they were basically under siege in a small enclave in eastern Aleppo, where I was there also. It became just like a shooting fish in a barrel. The people couldn't go anywhere, and they just carpet bombed them. Now, why am I blaming that on the on the Kurdish militia forces? Well, because the regime of Bashar al-Assad could only cover 2/3 of the siege. 1/3 of the siege was manned by who? Kurdish militia forces. So I don't trust them. But we'll have to wait and see if there's actually going to be action to that agreement. But I do not trust them. Anybody with eyes could see. Anybody with eyes could look and see that there were thousands of people being killed in those territories. And how you could participate in such an affair is something I'm sure I have no idea. Yeah, Camarad is here, and he says, Mr. Bilal, I remember the siege of Aleppo with you, Samad, and that's Abdul Samad Dagoul, and the betrayal of the PKK Kurdish in Sheikh Maqsood. Do not forgive them. Well, I have a forgiving nature, but I can't forget their participation. I just can't. I wish I could. Well, maybe I don't, because I think we need to keep these visions in our minds so we understand who we're dealing with. We're dealing with very treacherous people, murderous people who have the blood of thousands of innocent Syrians on their hands, and I think that we should not forget that. I know I haven't, and Allah knows best. Okay, we've got here Zakaria Kathrada. who says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How is the condition of the muhajirin who are still detained in Syria? I heard Sheikh Abdurrahman Mahdi speak out against it. Okay, you are speaking about Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Mahdi. May Allah preserve him. So let's go back to the first part of your question. How is the condition of the muhajirin who are still detained in Syria? Well, they're still detained in Syria, and there's no real judicial oversight. Okay, wait a minute. You're going to sit there and say, well, wait a minute. Hold on, Bilal. They're a state. They're a country. What are you talking about? Judicial oversight. Who are you talking about? The reality of the situation is that there are so many that are here in Syria, both muhajir and people who are indigenous to this country, who are not seeing the justice that they should be due, particularly at the hands of revolutionary forces. I have been vocal about that. I'm going to continue to be vocal about that. Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Mahdi has been vocal about that. And he received a message from someone who he believes to be from the new government, which was basically saying to him, and unfortunately I don't have it right in front of me, but I read it many times, and I'm going to try my best to help you to understand what was said. The message was, stop calling for the release of detainees because their cases are up for review. You are complicating their cases. The leadership is displeased with you. You are one of the sons of Damascus. You should be in Damascus teaching from and holding circles of knowledge, but instead you are back in Idlib. That is a paraphrase, basically, of what was said. Now, I'm going to try to remember to bring that statement tomorrow night because I think it's important that people would understand that statement. I contacted Sheikh Abdul Razak to verify the authenticity of that statement, and it was verified. And it means as follows. What I understood from the statement is that you'll get justice if we feel like it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everybody in the government is on that same methodology. But what we're seeing on the ground leads one to believe that they are on that methodology. There are so many of the Shabiha who were let free here in this country by way of a pardon. And I get that. I get it. Really, I do. You want to heal a society. I don't agree with it, but I get it. But you've got prisoners of conscience who are languishing in Idlib prisons and such like that. And how come they weren't released? They were the ones who were calling to open up battlefronts. They were the ones who were calling to do away with indefinite detention. They were the ones who were calling the authorities to do away with torture. How come they weren't released? Why are they still in prison? I got a problem with that. I'm going to give it to you straight. I got a problem. That's not okay. And that's what Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Mahdi was speaking about. And I do echo many of his sentiments. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Okay, we've got here. Okay, AA187 says, do you think the minorities in Syria will cause headaches for the new government? I find that Alawites that I speak to seem to be bitter about the fall of Assad. Yeah, they're not going to be completely happy about that, but I also want to put that in a proper context. Bashar al-Assad oppressed everybody. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that Alawites, just because you are Alawite, that means that you lived in paradise, because that's not true. And I think that I think that there's a portion of the Alawites who are not happy about the new status quo. Yeah, I definitely believe that, but it's not all of them. Really, it's not. And I do think that that a reconciliation has to be in place. And I think that the new government is doing some reaching out to the different minority communities. It's a work in progress, but I do think that that's a step in the right direction. I don't think that entire communities should be marginalized, oppressed, and so on. No, I don't think so. And I think that the new government understands that, and they get that. And I see that they're making steps. Okay. Okay, Abu Abdullah makes an interesting point here. And he says, isn't it best to keep the issues of Syria within Syria? It only gives ammunition to the kuffar, and the Muslims outside can't do much to change the situation. All right. First, let's take this step by step. Isn't it best to keep the issues of Syria within Syria? Why? This is an ummah situation. This is not just about Syria. The enemies of Islam want this to be that going back to the war that Bashar al-Assad, who garnered the help of his army, the Iranians, the Russians, Hezbollah from Lebanon, and different Shia militia forces from Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Now, he wanted to put that together and then help you to believe that you should only be fighting him with Syrian forces, just the local Syrian people. Why should we get with that program when this is the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So I'm not on that. I don't subscribe to that. I think that's a cancerous concept that too many of the brothers in different positions of leadership at different times throughout the war fell into. But no, I don't think that that's the right thing at all. To continue, it only gives ammo to the kuffar, and Muslims outside can't do much to change the situation. Who says that Muslims outside can't do much to change the situation? I don't say that. I say that there's a lot that they can do, and I think that there's a lot that they should be doing. And I think that they can stay active. They can continue to raise their voices. They can continue to support the people who are inside, who are trying to help the brothers and sisters who may be poor, may be marginalized, may be downtrodden, and so on and so forth. There's a lot that they can do. Just to sit here and say, okay, well, you know what, I'm not there, so there's not a lot that I can do. There's a lot that brothers and sisters around the world did for the war effort. Brothers and sisters came here. Brothers and sisters have put food on the table for so many suffering Assyrians and put clothes on their backs. And this is an ummah thing. This is not a Syrian thing. It's an ummah thing. And Allah knows best. We've got here, the truth about Gulf population is I'm within them, is they are low on Iman and do not have the world view through Islam like you and I, so they won't rebel. Jordanians, Egyptians, and Libyans have potential. Oh man, brother, what am I going to tell you? You said it very succinctly, wherein the Gulf populations are rich. Every household, or most of them, have 2 cars, a maid servant, maybe from Pakistan or from India or so, one of these countries, and they work to make sure that the people of the house are driven around, the house is clean, they are living a very comfortable life, and that in and of itself, people don't want to give that up. Let me give it to you straight, brother. When you got 2 cars and you're trading in your car every 2 or 3 years so that you get a newer car, and you've got a government job where you're getting thousands per month, and you get holiday time to go overseas with your family to go and visit, they chilling. They ain't giving that up so easily. I'm sorry, and I love those brothers in Kuwait and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and Qatar and all. I love the brothers there. I may not love their government so much, but I love them. And the brothers and sisters, they become intoxicated with wealth. And the enemies of Islam know that. Now, when we talk about Jordanians and Egyptians and Libyans, well, they don't have it quite so cushy, quite so good. So yeah, is there potential? I do think that it's potential, because people who are accustomed to difficulty, and as they say, and somebody tells them, look, it's time to fight, they say, all right, let's go. But when you've got somebody, and I'm here in Syria, and I will give it to you straight. Too many of the brothers who came to fight from the Khalij, they're good people, but they weren't necessarily the best fighters. They had heart. They would run into the middle of the mix, but they weren't the best fighters, because they lived a very cushy lifestyle and they were not accustomed to that struggle. Now, they made a huge contribution, huge. But to say that they were the best fighters, I would probably say that some of the best fighters were Dagestanis, Chechens, Egyptians, Libyans, people like that. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for what I'm just saying here, but that doesn't take anything away from the brothers who came from the Khalij, but they weren't accustomed to that lifestyle when they first came here, and Allah knows best. All right. Okay, last question here. We've got Rami, who says, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother, do you think Syria should ally with Iran to defend itself against Israel? No, no, I certainly don't. Because I would tell you, more than likely, the Iranians are going to stab you in the back. As soon as they know what your plans are, I could see them transmitting those messages to the Israelis. Oh, that must have stung. Let me tell you, let me qualify that. Brother, last year, in the spring, they launched 300 projectiles towards Israel for their transgressions against Iran. I'm talking about 300 projectiles in the forms of drones, rockets, missiles from Iran into Israel. In the fall, there was another transgression, and they launched 180 projectiles, drones, missiles, and rockets. That's 480 projectiles coming from Iran into Israel. They didn't kill a single Israeli soldier. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, they did kill somebody. And it was a Palestinian. That's the only one that they killed. Now, you're not going to sit there and tell me that your country, and I can tell you full force, the Iranian aim is better than that, because we saw it for year after year when they would target hospitals, they would target schools, they would target other things here in Syria, and their aim was spot on. But when it comes to the Israelis, all of a sudden now, they're like, I can't see, where are they? It doesn't matter, just fire. No, brothers and sisters, don't fall for that. Do not fall for that. This is not one of those things where it's like, okay, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The Iranians are not friends of the Sunni Muslim populations. They are not. I wish I could say that. I wish that I could say other than that, but unfortunately, I can't. Okay, we're going to run, but Hassan El-Elba, who was here, and he just said something. Brother, can I come to Syria to help HTS? Well, there's no more HTS. It's now the Syrian government. And if you have a skill set that you think that can help the Syrian people, then I would say that that would be a good thing. You know, they could really use your help. They could use your assistance and your expertise if you have it. So, yeah, if you have something that you think can benefit the people, then I think that that would be a good thing. I'm not going to try to be one of those people who throw out the baby with the bathwater. I'm not going to tell you that that there's no good in this group or that group. No, there are a lot of good people in the new government. But when I see that they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like their judicial system, if you want to call it that, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to say it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, nah, man, there's no good in these people or anything like that. No, I'm not going I'm not going to go there. Okay, look, before we go, please, brothers and sisters, just give me a second here. We've got our project, Voices of Truth. I want to help you to understand what this is. This is our crowdfunding page on medina.com/Voices of Truth. Voices of Truth is a project wherein we are interviewing people who were oppressed by the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad, wherein we're interviewing people who were ex-detainees, who were family members of those who disappeared, who were under oppression, so that it's well documented exactly what took place here. Because be careful, brothers and sisters, after some years, people will come along and say, hey, Bashar al-Assad was a good guy. I don't know what those people rebelled against him for. And he was very instrumental in helping the Palestinians, which he wasn't. Never fired a shot against Israel. Oh, I digress. The point of the matter here is, brothers and sisters, we need your help. We need gas for the car. We need salaries for the employees. We need your financial contributions. Please do help us out. Visit our crowdfunding page, medina.com/Voices of Truth. I am your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem. We'll see you tomorrow night on the 29th night of Ramadan. Inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.